Hello everybody and welcome along to PSGL Season 31. This is round 10 of the PlayStation Top Tier Championship, and this could be a day in the history books where we could see Danerco take the PSF1 Championship. The permutations we'll discuss a little bit later on, but it is a piece of cake really. My name is Jess Ball, and joining me for the penultimate time this season, he's back after a week off. We got Mr. Aiden Carter. Aiden, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to the potential championship decided tonight. Thank you very much to Danerco for holding off for a week. Very nice of him to be able to hold off while he wait for him to be potentially crowned. And yeah, it's like you said, the championship permutations are pretty simple coming into tonight, so it's looking pretty straightforward, which is nice and easy for us as well. And the Circuit of the Americas as well, really good racetrack, great for racing, great for different strategies. So I'm sure it's going to be a really great race tonight.
I love racing it and I love commentating it as well, so I'm sure it's going to be absolutely brilliant. So permutations for tonight is as simple. Danerco just needs to score. That's all he needs to do. As long as Danerco scores, he will be crowned champion. But Valtters will need to win and get fast lap in the final two races, with Danerco not scoring at all in either of those races. And even if the count back is 18 points, well, Danerco's got 3 wins and Valtters have only got 1 win. So if there's a count back involved, Danerco will be the one who gets the count back because he's had more wins, so he'll win the title anyway. So basically, Danerco just needs to keep doing what he's doing, and that's absolutely fine. And last week, there was a bit of a kerfuffle on pretty much the final part of the race, where there was a lobby desync, a lobby glitches, and the race results were taken as of lap 20. It was Rudy that won, but there was an incident on lap 11, turn 3, and he got a 5-second penalty for it, which meant that Ray got his first race win of the season, and it was a McLaren 1-2 as well. And considering Ray came from F2 not too long ago, to pick up his first F1 win in such a short space of time is a statement for the McLaren driver. So great job from him from last week.
Yeah, really good job. It's a shame he didn't get to celebrate it as a win straight away from the end of the race, but a race win is a race win nonetheless, and he absolutely did a brilliant job. And McLaren as a team as well, obviously maximum points for them as a team, so really good job. And it really spices up the manufacturer side of things as well. While the Drivers' Championship is looking fairly straightforward coming into tonight, the manufacturers are looking anything but. It's looking very interesting between our top 3 teams because of that result for McLaren. So yeah, still a lot to play for tonight and into next week for the manufacturer side.
Yep, exactly. So without further ado, let's go into the qualifying session after just talking about the Drivers' Championship. This circuit was designed by Herman Tilke, first season Formula 1 in 2012. Lewis Hamilton has won quite a few races and has had many title deciders be crowned here, with Lewis Hamilton winning quite a few of them as well. He loves this circuit, and I wonder if Danerco will love this circuit by the end of tonight. But let's go on board with last week's race winner, Ray, as he heads towards the SS section, and it's designed with Maggots, Beckers and Chaplin, Mike from Silverstone, the SS section in Japan, and also a bit of Turkey as well. And there's a bit of Hockenheim involved towards the end of the lap as well. So definitely a little bit of an inspiration there. And there's a few parts of the track that Ray got away with exceeding track limits there as well. So we're going to pretend we ignored that as we head towards the back straight into the DRS zone, where we'll see quite a few overtaking opportunities for tonight's race as well, as he goes on the power. And we'll see a lot of people try and get the best possible setup for straight line speed, but you will need it for the corners as well. So heading towards the left and right hand is coming up as well. I like this part of the track on the wheel, but on the pad it is very tricky. 13 and 14 coming up, and then heading towards turn 15 and 16. You're going to clip that left hand curve, move to the right as well, and then you're going to be heading towards 16, 17 and 18 as well. This part reminds you of Hockenheim, as I was saying earlier. And then you're heading towards 18 and 19. The start-finish straight coming up as well. You gain so much speed going through there as well. And Ray will set the first time on the board. What is it going to be? A 1:32.9. It is a benchmark time for now, because we have seen a lot faster times in F2 early on as well. So Ray comes across the line, and it is P1 for now, but there's still people to set a lap time with Jen to come across the line in P2.
Yeah, coming across the line in P2, like you're saying, a lot of people diving into the pits at the end of their first runs. Tom now to the top of the timesheets with a 32.7. But weirdly, a lot of drivers coming into the end of their at the end of their first runs without actually having invalidated, they just decided to dive into the pit lane. I think both Alfa Romeos were ones to do that there. So really odd choice there as the two Alpines now go comfortably at the top of the timesheets. Not sorry, the two Alpines, sorry, the Blues are too similar. I get very confused between the Blues on this game. It's a Williams at the top, but it's Legend that goes to the top of the timesheets with Rudy just in behind, trying to round off the season as well as he can, having been knocked out of contention with that penalty. So yeah, not surprised to see Rudy and Legend at the top. Legend's been very strong all season long as well, so not a surprise to see them up there, as well as Brock now, who's just moved into third place in our top three at the moment, 0.2 of a second clear of the pack at the moment, with Rowan leading the rest of the train at the moment in fourth. But after the first runs, pretty much half the field invalidating their times.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? And it is a really tricky track for track limits, as I found out on this game as well. I think we've seen in many Formula 1 games where it just pretty much, some races can be decided in terms of penalties as well, and it may take someone who has little to no penalties around this track to win this race. We saw that in Mexico as well, and even Ascot hasn't got a lap time on the board yet, so we need to get his head together as well. Romaninho is also another reserve. He's filling in for one of the Haas drivers tonight. So we have got two the reserve drivers that I think I would like to call full-time drivers technically, because they attended quite a lot of the races last season, and this will be the last time potentially we will see the 75th anniversary of the Ferrari livery tonight, which is a bit of a shame because it does look lovely on this game. Shame Mish hasn't done as well and to replicate that, but Danerka obviously doing a lot better. He's invalidated, so he's going to be going into the pits, but we'll see if he's going to push on his run coming up soon as well. Anyone from 11 downwards needs to get a move on really to set their best lap times. As you were saying, constructors could go down either way. Constructors could go down to the final race, so at least we could have a constructors that we could be decided in Silverstone, as Danerka heads his way into the pit lane as well. And I think there's certain drivers who I think could be up and out their teammates tonight, Mish being one of them for Ferrari, and of course obviously we've got Valdes with Alfa Romeo, H. Eagle as well as his teammate, but H. Eagle not scoring many points, so he needs to have a better race than last week, let's just say as well. Let's hope the race finishes this week and no desync issues, fingers crossed. Ray is about to start his run coming up soon as he heads towards turn number 1 as well, but there are certain drivers that need to pick up the pace really, because it's not just about the championship, it's really about keeping your space in F1, because Connor was commenting in the chat as well and was very disappointed with a few drivers, so this is really kind of like a placement race, as it were, to really decide if you deserve your place for F1 next season.
Yeah, and of course, with it being the new season, when the new season comes out, of course, we know that there's going to be some people moving away to a PC side of things. I believe Danerka will be moving away to the PC side of things after this season, so that immediately opens up a spot in this top division. And like you say, there's been a few people that have underperformed compared to what we expected, really, of them this season. And Ray's proved as well that you can move up from a tier below into the top tier pretty seamlessly and do very well. Ray, I mean, now currently running in 7th in the championship, having missed the first 3 races of the season. So Ray proving that it's very easy for a driver to jump from F2 to F1 and fit right in. So yeah, there's definitely going to be quite a few moves about, I believe, next season. I think one driver that may be a little bit under pressure is Marco Dawes, who was just on board with, and just as I say that, he's invalidated. So I'm not giving him a lot of luck. Yeah, it's already started. We're not even halfway through qualifying yet, and I'm already cursing them. So I do apologise for the rest of the drivers this evening. But a lot of drivers have invalidated their latest runs. Both AlphaTauris have invalidated. I'm just running with Philip Wouters. I believe he's one of the furthest alongs on a lap. Actually, Kazizel is the furthest along on a lap who hasn't invalidated, I believe. He's going to come up to the line. Mish actually goes P8 in the Ferrari. Kazizel crosses the line, goes P3. So he jumps himself into that top group of cars at the moment that are leading the way. Philip Wouters around the final corner and up towards the line. Where can he put himself? He goes 5th just into that top group as well. So it's the top 5 now that are a little bit separated from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised actually, because there's been some close qualifying sessions throughout PSF1, but I think maybe people are just struggling more around this track compared to everyone else. It is very technical, and Tilt likes to design technical tracks, so it is to be expected. Fede not having a good season as far, and a driver that needs to prove himself to fight for a place in the top tier next season has invalidated, so that's added to his rows here this season. We've got Fabi, who hasn't set a lap time yet either, but scored some decent points in Brazil, but didn't score any points in Jeddah last week. Has 2 DNFs to his name, and the highest he scored was in Miami, and he's going to add to his woes again by going into the pits. Urko then, we'll see what he can do as he's about to start his run, and this could be a championship night for him as well if he plays his card right. Like we said earlier, he just needs to score. That's it. If he scores, he's champion, and that's the only way to go about it. And unfortunately, due to Rudy's time penalty, that puts Rudy out of contention. He was in contention before that penalty was applied, but due to that penalty, he's around about 39 points behind the race leader, and obviously tonight he needed to be 34 points or less to the race leader. So Rudy and Tom are out of it, but they can still be on the charge for getting second place in the championship. Same with Asacombe as well. Asacombe has been good in terms of qualifying, but not in terms of the race recently, but he needs to obviously improve on the consistency. He's in 18th at the moment, but Asacombe was the one to benefit from some people's penalties last week as well. So it's not just a battle for first, it is a battle for second and third. And don't forget, Tom came from F2 last season, Rudy from F3. So the F2 and F3 champions showing, like Ray can, that moving up from a lower division, you can do well straight away in the top division.
Yeah, they've done really well. They've embedded themselves into PSF1 really well this season. The one thing they've lacked this season thus far has just been that little bit of consistency, hasn't it? It's not a coincidence that the only two people left in the championship running are the only two people to have scored points in every single race so far this season in Danerco and Wouters. They've scored every race so far. No one else has managed to do that. So that is why they are leading the way at the moment. So a little bit more consistency for Tom and Rudy, and you've got to say going into next season already they're looking like front runners and the people to beat going into next season. So that's going to be something to look out for, as Legend has just improved his time to go a little bit further clear at the top of the timesheets. But we're not seeing a lot of drivers really improve their times at the moment. A lot of drivers struggling to keep the car on the road, as Danerco finally gets his first lap on the board of the session, and he jumps straight up onto the front row of the grid into second position, which is what you would expect from our championship leader. But as I was saying, not a lot of people really finding a lot of improvements in their lap times. The only one really that's managed to improve in recent laps is Jensen up to P9, but that's still not really where you would expect the Alpine driver to be. Namaya's just started a lap. He is currently in 8th on the grid, and Namaya's been a bit of a weird one this season, hasn't he? He's way down in the championship, currently in 16th position. But you've got to say, he has comfortably had the pace to be running at the front of the field pretty much every race so far this season. But for one reason or another, he's just never got the result. He's been close. I can't remember which race it was. It might have been actually Sao Paulo, where he was very close to getting his first podium of the season, and it just fell apart for him at the end of the race, which was such a shame to see. But he's had the pace, just not got the result. So he's one driver that in these last two races needs to prove what he can do so he can stay in this top division for next season, as he heads through the final two corners out to turn 20, the final corner, and then a very short run to the line. He was a 10th.5 up in the second sector, crosses the line, finds another 10th.5 in the final sector, and goes on to the second row. So as once again, Namaya up there in qualifying.
Yeah, Namaya in third position at the moment. Don't forget, Namaya was in the runner-up spot in PSGL F2 and was fighting with Tom in the championship. So I was expecting him to be up there with Tom as well, but it just shows how much a game can change, because don't forget, the last season was on F1 2021. It's F1 22, times have changed, and maybe Namaya is struggling a little bit more than Tom has this season, but he's higher up in qualifying compared to Tom at the moment as well, so he's doing a great job. Asacombe is just come across the line into P2. Fabi then going through sector 2. We've got Fede going through sector 3. He hasn't invalidated this time, so we'll see if he's got a point to prove as well. Loving his helmet, by the way, and hopefully he can continue some of the form that Asacombe has been showing this season, because Asacombe really has been carrying the Apatawi team quite a lot this season. So Fede up to the line. It's a 1:20:32.595, puts him into the top 10. We've got a Alpine up to the line, puts himself up into P5 with a 1:32.351. So finally, times are starting to get a little bit more closer. It's not as spread out anymore. Around 8 tenths separating first and 19th place, with Fabi the only driver yet to set a lap, and he's still going to be the only driver to not set a lap because he's gone into the pit again because he's invalidated.
Yeah, another Fabio really struggling to keep the car on the road tonight, unfortunately, which is a shame. He was running about a tenth of a second faster than Fede through the second sector split, so that would have realistically put him in around the Alfa Romeos if he was able to complete that lap, but unfortunately hasn't been able to. I'm keeping an eye on Ray. He's on another lap at the moment. He currently obviously winner last time out, currently down in 19th and slowest of the people that have set a lap time, so way out of position for where you would expect the McLaren driver to be, especially with this manufacturer's title that we've been talking about as well, with them only being 11 points off the lead of the championship now. In the manufacturers, they've got to be up there fighting, and McLaren are the only team really in the top three in the manufacturers that have two drivers performing at their best. As Ray crosses the line, it still only goes 13th. That's not really as high as you would expect from him, as the only person that can stop Daneco in the championship. Wouters goes fourth, make that fifth as Rowan improves, and Kazizel has now gone to the top of the timesheet. So while Ray is struggling a little bit, his teammate is not. He's now gone over a tenth of a second clear at the top of the timesheets.
There you go, and that's not what you want to see from Ray, with your teammate being this high up and Ray being 6 tenths behind as well, because your main goal is to beat your teammate. That's the first goal that you have, and if your teammate keeps beating you every race, then that's not good. But to be honest, those teammates worked very well together in Jeddah. They hopefully they're going to potentially continue that as well to help each other out. Maybe they can be teammates next season. You never know. But Ray's race last week has proven himself that he does deserve a place in F1, because it's all being up there as well. Everyone is going out again for their outlaps. Let us know your opinions in the chat with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go on who you think's going to get pole position and what will be the pole time right now, as we could get into the 131s. It's just inevitable at the moment, but we are starting to see people start to struggle in their middle runs for some drivers, and that's really going to come back to bite them, because they only have one final chance to get it right. We've got Romaninho who's about to start his run. Everyone's on outlaps now, so this is really the calm before the storm. This is their pretty much penultimate qualifying session of the season, and it's a track where mistakes, you can't really make mistakes around here, because you got to try and have to make a load of overtakes, even though there's a place where you can overtake anyway. As Romanino is about to start his final run, it looks like he can go again if he has plenty of ERS. I think Kazizel will, I don't think he has enough fuel to go again. No, he does not. So that is his qualifying session over. So is Warren, so is Wouters, and so is Fede. All of them have retired in the pit lane, and they can't go any quicker than where they are. And Kazizel has just retired from the session as well. So the only people that could beat Kazizel are the likes of Legend, Danerka, Asako, Namaya, Rudy as well. Any of those drivers could potentially beat them. Maybe Namaya could get his first pole position of the season. All he's got to do is find 3 attempts and he'll be up there.
Yeah, it's still pretty close throughout the field, actually, when you look at it, even though Kazizel's over a tenth clear at the top of the timesheets, everybody's still in the 32s, apart from Fabi, who doesn't have a time on the board. So the field is still very, very close together, which is very interesting to see. I think Kazizel will be pretty happy in terms of, while the McLarens have been working very well together, I think he'll want to get one over on his teammate after he lost out on the win last time out and is just behind him in the driver's standing. So that is going to be one thing riding on Kazizel's mind, that he's got one over on his teammate for the time being. And Ray, unfortunately, hasn't made it out of the pit lane in time to go again for his final run. So that is 13th is the best we're going to see of Ray tonight in this qualifying session. I believe one of the Mercedes is the furthest along a lap at the moment. I believe that is Brock, who is furthest along. Everybody else has just come to, as you know, Romaninho is coming to the end of his lap, and he's completely obliterated the track limits coming out of turn 19, and that is his session over and done with. He will not be improving. Louis is invalidated, so he's going again on the same set of tyres, I believe. So now it is going to be Brock who is the furthest along a lap at the moment in the Mercedes as he heads through the second sector split, and is he up on his time? He is by just over a tenth of a second, which at the moment could gain him quite a few places.
Yeah, indeed. He's got quite a few pole positions this season, is Brock as well, and he's looking to add to another one. I think he got 1 pole position this season. Ray cannot improve as the checker flag has just dropped here at COTA, the circuit of the Americas, then a circuit where we saw Kimi Raikkonen take his final win in his career, and for Ferrari as well, which was quite an emotional moment as well, as Brock just won out of deployment there, but puts his car into P2 then. So he's beaten the likes of Wouters, and he's beaten the likes of Rowan too. We got his teammate of Tom. He's about to cross the line, and he goes into P3. So it's a Mercedes 2-3 at the moment. We've got Asakona comes across the line into P8. We got Danerko, who's going through the middle sector. He's only a few 100s up on his PB then, so he may not get pole position, but he may try and sneak himself on to the front row. We've got an Alfa Romeo up to the line. That's H Eagle. That's a good lap time from him. 3 attempts up. That puts him into P5. Dernerko then. Final corner he goes. Just one race away of becoming champion, and he could get it tonight. He can't get pole. It's a P3, but I'm sure it doesn't matter if he doesn't get pole here tonight because he just needs to score. Namaya, this could be a chance for him to make history. Well, he's not going to make history because he's invalidated. Rudy is across the line. He can only manage in P10. And that is it then. So because he's all retiring late on in the session, did not affect things too much because he got it on pole anyway. No one got into the 131s, but Cazidle for the his second in a row actually, I believe, got his car on pole position, but he didn't get a good start last week. So let's hope he can get a good start this week.
Yeah, and I think that officially makes, if there was a championship for it, Cazidle the pole winner of the season, doesn't it? I believe that is his 4th pole position of the season, if I'm not mistaken. So,
I can't remember.
Yeah, brilliant. I can't remember at this point either, but I believe it's either his 3rd or his 4th. Either way, I think that makes him pole champion for the season, if that is an award. So well done to Cazidle for that one. Great lap time as well, and he did that with 3 minutes left in the session and didn't bother going out for a final run. So he was so confident in the time he didn't need to go out again. But again, McLaren featuring at the front of the field, and Legend on the front row was strong all qualifying session long and held on to a front row finish. But surprise qualifying performance for me is H Eagle, P6 in the Alfa Romeo. That is by far his best qualifying of the season.
Yep, it is. So let's run through your order then for today's race. So we got Cazidle in P1, Legend in P2, Dernerko in P3, Brock in 4th, Tom 5th, H Eagle 6th, Rowan 7th, Valters 8th. That's not good if you want to keep your championship fire alive because he's got to win the race and get past his lap. Ascombe 9th, Rudy 10th. They've got Namaya, Marcados, Louis, Fede, Basilio, Ray, Jensen, Romanino, Mish and Fabia. Full 20th car grid for today's race, and we got no formation lap. So before we go for the race, let's have a quick word from our title sponsor, GT Omega. We will see you in just under 30 seconds. Hello everybody and welcome back to PSF1, and as you can see, the weather has taken a dramatic turn. It was nice and dry earlier on, but now it is raining. The paddock is wet, but it is not chucking it down luckily. It looks like it's going to be intermediate conditions, so I wonder that's the reason why people couldn't get into the 131 tonight, because maybe they have got a wet setup. So we are about to get started for the race, as myself and Aidan Carter will be taking you through the action here today, as we've got Cazidle taking pole position once again. Will he be able to convert it to a victory? Can Dernerko score a point to take his first ever PSGL title on his move to the PC platform? Anyway, the 5 red lights are on here for the penultimate round of season 31, and it is lights out and away we go. Let's see who has the best start heading towards turn number 1. It looks like even between Legend and Cazidle, but he's going to try and get the right hand line. But look at one of the Mercedes, he almost had a good start there as well. In the traction, it's going to be very, very tricky on entry into turn 2. Quite a few people going wide a little bit there. I think there was contact with a Williams and a Ferrari in the background as well. Luckily it's not Dernerko. He's down in P3 at the moment. He's hold position there as well. So Legend leads. He got the lead for Cazidle in 2nd. Dernerko 3rd. Tom's had a good start as well in 4th. Both the Mercedes have had a good start as well, with Rowan in 5th. And both the Alfa Romeos doing good as well. So they make their way towards the tricky S section as Fede and Basilio go for a bit of a scrap. And they had a bit of a kerfuffle earlier on, which was a bit of a shame. Now as we got one of the Mercedes trying to go side by side with Dernerko as well, and he does it with ease there, going into the braking zone, and Tom heading up into 3rd place. Tom can't mathematically win the title, but he's going to do all he can to try and get 2nd place in that championship, and he's definitely doing what he can there at the moment. But Dernerko could fight back here, heading in towards this part of the track, heading towards turn 12, and he did it this time. But look at this, Tom could get the switchback there. No, he doesn't as well. Who said you can't overtake in the wet? Dernerko and Tom have just proved that Danerco is up into third place once again, and no, it's changed once again. As I was about to stop speaking, they keep changing once more. They're fighting everywhere, as Danerco has now got into third place. It looks like there's a squabble between Danerco and Tom on the moment. It's great to see, but Legend leads the field on that one.
Yeah, great little battle here between Danerco and Tom, but this is all just letting Legend and Kazizzle run away at the front of the field and is keeping everybody in close proximity behind. By the way, a note on that first lap incident, Nemaya spun off the side of his teammate, I believe, unfortunately, and it just caused a chain reaction behind. Fede got spun across the nose of Mish and Jensen. I believe Romaninho spun, and Fusillo spun in sympathy as well, but nobody, I believe, got any damage from all that as Tom and Danerco go at it again now into turn number 1, and Tom, I think, has got the move done this time around, and you can't really do the switchback in the first part of this lap. So has that move finally been done now to Tom? Will he be able to stay ahead of Danerco for the rest of the lap? But early stages of this race, and Danerco not looking as confident as he was have done in the dry. And we saw this in Sao Paulo, didn't we, when we had a wet race at Brazil. Danerco qualified well and then just kind of plummeted through the field on the intermediate tyres. He didn't feel all that confident on those intermediate tyres that day. It wasn't a great race for him, and at least at the start of this race here at the Circuit of the Americas, again Danerco not looking all that confident on those intermediate tyres. He's already dropped to 8 tenths behind Tom.
Yeah, that's how tricky the wet conditions can be, as we got Rudy going side by side with Louis. Louis' his first race after his 3-race ban, as we got a yellow flag in the background. That is Jensen that has spun or had a bit of a coming together with someone in 19th place, but we can see Rudy, Louis, and the two Aston Martins going for it. We've got the McLaren as well going for it. It's going to be 4 wide almost, as they're squabbling for position. This is allowing Marcos to pull away. It's allowing both the Alfa Romeos to pull away as well, as so as Ascom as well. So we've got effectively 2 trains going on, and there's no DRS, as Namaya could get past all 3 of them as we head towards turn 15 and 16. As both the Aston Martins have made contact there as they head towards turn 16, and looks like the Red Bull could get involved, of Fabi as well, and then look at Romaninho, he's at the back as well. There's all sorts of chaos happening in F1 at the moment, and that's what we want the penultimate race to be. I think it just goes to show that when we have wet conditions in PSGL, PSF1, they're putting out all the stops, and they're just showing they can overtake in the wet, and that's because they are highly skilled at what they can do, and they practice more in the wet conditions. And we've got Asakome and Brock going side by side into turn 1 and 2, and Brock gets the move done there as well. Asakome almost lost it there on exit, which was a bit of a shame, but we got both the Aston Martins still going for it, as well as Ray now is going to try and catch up to Rudy once again, and Rudy was able to pull away from that battle, as Fabi again now try and goes for another move. This time all covering from Romaninho. It's just all guns are blazing for the back positions, isn't it?
Yeah, it is all guns are blazing there as Mish drives into the side of Romaninho's house and has a little bit of a half spin, gets away with it. Jensen's had another spin, so he's really struggling in these intermediate conditions. Unfortunately, it's the Alpine driver, Jensen. That's his 3rd spin of the race already. And yeah, Louis, first race back after his 3-race ban, and he's not made a good impression with his teammate. That's twice the Aston Martins have crashed into each other in the first 2 laps of this race, and it doesn't look done yet. Namaya does look the faster of the 2 Astons, especially in a straight line. Look at that without DRS. Look at the straight line speed Namaya has compared to Louis. Down the straight, it's going to have the inside line. He lifts off the brake a little bit in the braking zone. Louis going to try and go around the outside and puts himself on the side of curves, and he hits his teammate again. That is the 3rd time he's decided to drive into the side of Namaya, but this time around Namaya gets the move done. If I were Namaya, I'm not going to be very happy with that at all. He is being roughed up by his teammate for no real good reason at all. Namaya, though, is finally through and up into 13th.
There we go. Namaya definitely doing what he needs to do as well. There's a few people there who we could watch out for in the wet conditions as well. Remember Legend, he managed to get his tyres 36 laps through into Brazil without pitting in the intermediate conditions and win this race, but he's in a much better position at the moment. He took the lead from lap 1, and will he be able to stay there to the end of the race, or will the track get better and he will have to pit? You never know as well. He's dangerously running low on fuel, and that's not what he wants at this stage of the race, but as long as he could push, he's able to save a bit of his tyre wear as well. So look out for Legend, look out for Rudy. There's quite a few people that are very good in the wet that could potentially do well, even though they're lower down. Rudy, of course, as well. Kazizzle, I'm surprised that he's not catching up to Legend that much, because he's one of the other drivers that is considerably good in the wet conditions. So he's got a lot of work to do. at this early stage, but it is a long race, of course. Early days are ahead of them as well, and they lose less fuel and ERS in the wet as well, so they got plenty of opportunities to save as much as they can. Meanwhile, Asacombe on Brock once again. This is round 3 in terms of the battles, as it seems at the moment, as it looks like Asacombe breezed past, and it doesn't look like Brock was going to challenge Asacombe for that move there up into 6th place, but Brock could get a lunge into turn 13 and 14, but it doesn't look like he's going to be doing so right now. Quite a few people are running very, very patient because they know what is at stake, but some people just have to take lots of risks because they could lose a few positions in the championship because of it as well. There's a few people that want to be top 10, but they're in the danger of losing out even if they just be a little bit cautious at the moment. And a few people are asking in the chat, why does Legend not have a main seat? I don't have a clue, but after his performances this season, he is definitely showing that he deserves to have F1 seat for the whole season, next season, season 32.
Yeah, he's definitely proving it. He had a stonking lap that time around. He's dropped Kazizel by another half a second in the final 2 sectors of that lap alone. So Legend really looking comfortable in the wet conditions, as he did in Sao Paulo as well. Another one that was good in Sao Paulo in the wet conditions was Philip Wouters, of course, finishing on the podium in Brazil, and that was the last podium he's had in this season. Of course, Philip Wouters has only had 2 podiums this season, and the last one that came at Brazil, of course, in those wet conditions. So look out for Philip Wouters to try and work his way through the field. Championship-wise, of course, at the moment, Philip Wouters is not doing anywhere near enough to take this on to the next time, to the next race. He has to win and get fastest lap of the race to be able to take this championship on to the final round of the season. So, yeah, currently down in 9th, stuck behind his teammate, but not really being able to go anywhere. So, yeah, they're just starting to get a little bit strung out now, aren't they? As everybody gets into their rhythm, the field is just starting to separate that little bit as everybody kind of finds where they are in the field at the moment, pace-wise. I'm looking to Rudy, I think. Rudy and Philip Wouters look like the two, as we've now got Fede, who spun for a second time in this race. Philip Wouters and Rudy, to me, look like the two that are most trying to get past the drivers in front. They're the ones that have got a bit more pace than the drivers in front, but can't really do anything about it. Currently in 9th and 10th.
Yes, and to be honest, they want to score as high as they can in the championship, because if you think about it, Wouters and Rudy, if Danerco takes the title tonight in USA, which is very likely, this is technically the fight for second place in the championship, and Tom is way up there in 3rd place, so Tom can snatch it off both of them in a way as well. So these two have got to be incredibly careful, because otherwise they are going to lose it, and that is not good at all, and it's getting even more tricky to keep their car on the road. And I'm quite surprised actually that the drivers don't have as many penalties as well, which just shows the car control they have as well. The brake bias is a lot different in the wet conditions as well, so they got to figure out that as well. They'll be running a little bit higher tyre pressures in the wet as well, and don't forget they can't change it in between if it's changeable conditions, so they got to keep a good balance. Meanwhile, Rudy gets past his championship rival of Wouters. Or will Wouters get the switchback? No, Wouters gets the switchback then just before the Yetis, but Rudy's going to fight back once more. They may go to choose to go side by side in one of the most trickiest corners on the circuit in terms of traction, but no, they didn't want to risk any further instance, so Wouters now remains in 9th position as well, and that's all allowing Marcados to catch up even more, as well as Presidio gets a 3-second time penalty, our first time penalty on the board there as well. And I have to say, in order for Legend to not win this one, I have to say certain drivers will maybe need to work alongside each other just to get some slipstream, maybe some a tow as well, to make sure they start to close in, because otherwise Legend is going to be pulling away. You can't afford to fight for second place if you were Tom. If I were you, I would work with Kazizel to try and close into Legend up front, or maybe Legend is just very, very quick. The top 3 were the ones who do well in wet conditions, but Legend just seems to have a little bit of an edge as well. Danerco not doing as well in wet condition. He's been chased by both Rowan, Asacombe and maybe Brock as well, but Danerco doesn't need to really do too much, because all he needs to do is just score points, and if he does not score, he hopes that Wouters does not win this race either. So I can see Danerco playing it a little bit too cautious, but I know he wants to win it in style, but it may not be the way he would want, as Rowan is looking very, very comfortable on these wets, but he just can't get past at the moment.
Yeah, not quite close enough on the run up to turn 1 is Rowan to have a move at Danerco. I think Danerco's car looks more set up to the dry conditions because he's a lot faster in a straight line, but he is really struggling in the slower parts of the lap where you need the downforce to get the car turned in. He just doesn't seem to have a lot of pace. It's a very un-Denurko like this performance, isn't it? But it was the same in Sao Paulo. He just, on these intermediate tyres, Denurko just hasn't looked that confident, really. Anytime we've put the intermediate tyres on this season, he's just not looked confident on them. Just don't seem to be suited for them. But like you say, he doesn't need to win tonight. What he's doing right now is more than enough to win this championship, as Jensen has had another spin now on the run down towards turn 19. So I would not be surprised if Jensen retires in the pit lane. He's had a shocker of a race so far in that Alpine, unfortunately. And yeah, I can't, well, I say I can't tell, but Legend at the moment is making this field look pedestrian, isn't he? He is miles clear of the rest of the field. 4.2 seconds clear of Kazizel now, and he's nearly a second a lap faster at this point than Kazizel. Kazizel, likewise, he hasn't dropped off in pace, but Tom has definitely increased his pace. Tom was over a second and a half back. He's closed up to the back of the McLaren in recent laps, so I think Tom is the faster of these two. If Tom can get ahead of Kazizel, I don't really know what he can do about Legend. I think Legend is just in so much of a league of his own that even if Tom got ahead of Kazizel, I don't think Tom would be able to close in either. So Legend is just miles ahead. But in the same vein, Kazizel and Tom are making the rest of the field look pedestrian as well, because they've dropped the rest of the field by over 3 seconds. So yeah, it's a real spread out at the front of the field, and we're just kind of waiting for the cork in the bottle to move as Ray gets the move down the inside of Marcados in this triple right-hander. But Marcados, with more momentum around the outside, is going to hold the position into turn 19. But does Ray think about a move into the last corner? You don't usually see overtakes at this point in the track, but that's what intermediate conditions will do for you. But Ray not late enough on the brakes to try that move. But can he get the run maybe towards turn 1? He's on his ERS, but so is Marcados in defence. Who's got the better car in a straight line? At the end of the straight, it's definitely Ray that's got more straight line speed. He's going to go late on the brakes down the inside. He's got to make sure he gets it stopped for the corner. He does, but Marcados is going to try the switch back on the exit of the corner and get the better run. They're going to run side by side through turn number 2. Ray just understeering a little bit, had to lift off the throttle, and that allows Marcados back through. Great racing between the pair of them, and Marcados holds on to 11th.
Yes, Marcados is just outside the points there, but he's got to find around about a second to try and close in on the likes of Rudy as well, so he can't afford to be squabbling that much. And I was looking at fastest laps. Legend is the only man in the 146s. Everybody else in the 147s, 148s. That's how quick Legend is around this track, and Legend did say he was quite comfortable around this track no matter what the conditions are as well. So that is a statement for the Williams driver. I think that's the car that he usually goes into if he's reserve anyway as well, so it must be the luck of the trade. A blue car in the wet conditions running a Williams. Well, that tradition dictates that's how Legend does very well as well. But he's got to manage his tyres. But we saw in Brazil that he got into around about 70-80% mark, and he still was okay as well. But will we start to see everybody close up? I doubt it, as Ray and Marcados fight again with Namaya as well. And I'm surprised he did make contact there, because it was very, very tight on entry, heading towards turn 15 and heading towards turn 16 right now as well. The Hockenheim section as well, heading towards that corner as well, heading towards turn 17 and 18 coming up now, as Marcados has lost 2 places now in the process, with Ray getting past as well. Ray seems to be a lot struggling as he thought, but it may come down to experience, because obviously some of these guys have been in F1 for quite a while, whereas Ray's only been in F1 for 3 or 4 races, so has got a lot of work to do. As Fidelio got a 3-second time penalty, Marcados almost got the edge on the Meyer once again, but the Meyer's got him into P12. But can the Meyer fight back into the S's? No, Marcados is absolutely struggling in these wet conditions on the inters, and I think Fabi is closing in as well. So I think Marcados' day has gone from bad to worse. He hasn't got any damage at all. He just doesn't like these wet conditions.
Yeah, you're starting to see quite a few drivers that are really struggling. Another one now is Rowan, who's just dropped off the back of Denurko, and Asacombe is right on the back of that Haas. As per all season long, Asacombe has been up at the front all season long pace-wise. He's just not quite got the results he would have wanted. You would say on pace alone, Asacombe was well in the fight for this title, but just hasn't got the results he would have wanted. But is he close enough for a run down towards the end of the straight? He's got a good car in a straight line, but he's going to have to be mega on the brakes if he want to make this move work. And Rowan, at the latest possible time, without it being too controversial, moves to the inside to defend the move. Asacombe gets a great run through turn 12, but he's not going to be able to get around the outside of there. Does he try the move, though, into turn 16, through the kink of 15 and into 16? We see it quite often that people dive up the inside. He's going to think about it, but Rowan's going to cover off the move, but that's going to compromise both of their runs through the corner. Asacombe gets a lovely run up towards the triple right-hander, but on the outside line, he's not going to have the best line for the corner. Rowan's just going to run him out wide, and there you go. Rowan holds on to the position for the time being, but you've got to say, it's a matter of time before Asacombe gets this move done.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? As Asacombe really needs to get a move on with Rowan as well, because Rowan's another driver that moved from F2 last season as well, with Asacombe being the old guard at this moment in time, with the one with more experiences. Asacombe, good fight again. He's a bit late on the brakes there as well. He's going to go for it, send the dreams into turn number 1. Can he hold it? He almost got a bit squirmy on exit, which allows Rowan just to fight back a little bit and maintain that position. That could have been a move for him, but he just got a bit too squirmy, unfortunately. But again, that's very tricky around this circuit, so understandable. But Rowan stays in P5 as we got Fusilio now out of this race. He has retired, unfortunately, from the pit lanes. We have 2 retirements from the pit lane, down to 18 drivers. Hopefully everyone else keeps going. Fede's still keeping going, which is great to see, even if he's having a horrific race, as Romanino's picked up another penalty as well, down in 17th position, but technically he is still in the fight, as well as Rudy and Valters are fighting for position now. We'll see what they can do. Again, they've been fighting for quite a bit for the battle for P2 in the championship, as Valters gets ahead of Rudy. The yellow flag in sector 1 was due to the AI car of Fusilio. So heading towards turn number 12 as well, as Rudy just stays ahead as the train is going bigger and bigger between Rudy, Valters, H-Eagle, Brock, Asacombe and Rowan. So Rowan and Asacombe fighting. His trigger needs guys to fight, as well as Rudy tries to go for a send on the turn 15. Nope, he couldn't, otherwise he would have made contact there, and that would have been worse. And I'm sure Kryptonite wouldn't want many stewards reports at the moment. I think he would ideally want none at all. So Rudy, I think, decided to back off a little bit from Valters, as they stay 9th and 10th respectively, as we got our first pit stop, and that is Rudy. So you don't have to pit in the wet conditions as long as it doesn't dry up. So he's going to go on to some fresh inters. He thinks that will last until the end of the race, so he comes in. I am starting to see some parts of the track get a bit sunnier as well, so we could see a wet to dry race, but Rudy comes in anyway. Louis comes in as well. No damage from either of the pairing as well, so does that mean everybody else has to be? If I was Legend, it doesn't matter what you do, you'll come out ahead anyway.
Yeah, it's hard to really say. I think obviously with them putting onto intermediate tyres definitely suggests that this track is not going to dry up anytime soon towards the end of this race. So I think Rudy's just coming in now, making sure that he doesn't pit too late and then get undercut. He wants to use the fresh intermediate tyres and get these to the end of the race. He obviously didn't think he'd get the first set to the end of the race. So strategy call there from Rudy. He may as well come in early, use the free track. You could tell he was being held up in that train, so use the free air to try and gain places. And with how close that train is, give him a couple of laps and he could jump from what was 10th potentially up to around 5th position if everybody decides to pit. And of course we saw this in Sao Paulo, didn't we? We saw a real split in the field as to whether people wanted to stay out on their tyres or whether they wanted to pit. It was staying out in Sao Paulo that won you the race, but you've got to say there's a lot more overtaking opportunities around Kota, so it's going to be difficult to see which strategy comes out on top. But immediately Rudy is up to pace on those intermediate tyres. He's looking fast straight out of the box, so Rudy looking good in clean air. And do we see anybody else react to that? I wouldn't be shocked if we see someone maybe like Namaya or Ray, who's at the back of this train, not really going anywhere. Maybe they might come into the pit lane. They've had good pace. They've managed to actually catch up to this train after having to make overtakes on the likes of Marcados and Louis earlier on. And actually, I believe that is Philip Wouters into the pit lane.
And Namaya responds.
Well.
He wasn't going to. He wasn't going to, it looked like. But he was like, hang on, my rivals are coming in. I'm going to come in too. So he's responding to the potential undercut that's going to happen then. So very, very interesting from the likes of it. But they were stuck in that train anyway, so it is to be expected. Oh, Romanino is out of the race. He's also retired in the pit lane, so no safety car there. I don't know why he gave up all of a sudden, but he was near the back anyway as well. So we have 5 drivers that have pitted already. I'm surprised Marcados and Ray have not pitted. Same with Fabi Edix. It's not going to be that long before people on fresher tyres really start to catch up, and you really start to see which drivers are the best in these wet conditions and which are the worst as well. And if you're not good in wet conditions and you have worn tyres, you're going to be in a little bit of a state of bother at the moment, as the battles are starting to calm down a little bit towards the midfield. Obviously, they're just keeping their rhythm together a little bit more as well. Another yellow flag, which belongs to Romanino as well, but I think there was a yellow flag sector 2 as well. It might just be a phantom yellow flag. Yeah, it was a phantom yellow flag as well. So it was 6 seconds a moment ago between Legend and Kazizel. Now he increased the gap by 1.5 seconds the last lap. 7.5 seconds, and I'll just see if he got it even faster. He's still on the 146.666. Kazizel's gone even faster on a 147.396, and wow, look at that. Legend has gone even faster again. I think Legend's making a statement. I took the lead and I'm going to keep it there, and I want to win this race. I don't care if I'm a reserve driver. I want to make a statement that I want to be full-time next season in the top tier and challenge for the title. Because I think he could challenge for the title as our championship leader is in, H-Eagle is in, and Brock is in the pits then. So all on fresh inters until the end. It may not be like Brazil, but I know Legend's just going to gamble and stay until the end because he can, because he's good.
Yeah, you can. Like you say, he can take the gamble because he is so far ahead of the rest of the field at the moment that it doesn't really matter. And even if he doesn't think that those tyres are going to get to the end of the race, his gap is so big that he has the time to react to that and come into the pits and still be comfortably in the lead. So, yeah, no matter what Legend does now, he's pretty much got it covered, hasn't he? He's absolutely dominated this race. I mean, he's got an over 8-second lead now, and we're still not halfway through. What is that gap going to be by the end of this race? I dread to think what the gap is going to be between Legend and Kazizel, but if Legend is full-time next season, if he decides he wants to race full-time next season, this is a proper marker he is laying down, isn't it? I thought the Sao Paulo win was impressive. This is on another level. We've not really seen domination like this from any driver on any level in a race this season. Even from our championship leader, Denurko, he's not dominated a race like this, like we've seen this season. So, yeah, this is a really stellar performance so far from Legend. By the way, after all that pit stop phase, Asacombe's going to go for the move on the inside of Denurko here at turn 12. Denurko's going to leave him the space on the inside. He's get forced onto the sausage curbs on the outside, and Asacombe will get the move done. Denurko's going to try and dive the move back down the inside at the next corner at turn 13. Does he get the run? But he's going to have the outside line for this left-hander, and it usually plays in the favour of the inside driver. Asacombe gets the move done, and he will stay in 9th place. But unfortunately for Asacombe, a 5-second speeding in the pit lane penalty is not what he wanted in this race. If he can gap Denurko, then he could still get a solid result out of this race. We've seen how Denurko has struggled, and now Asacombe's in free air. He could drop Denurko, but either way, that 5-second penalty is not going to help him. And Denurko with a 3-second penalty as well is going to drop him at the moment. But yeah, Tom's in as well. Where does Tom come out? Look at Tom. Tom in third, miles off the race leader, is still country miles ahead of the rest of the pack. He is, well, over 6 seconds clear now of Asacombe in that fight, as Rowan now, who has stayed out. He is one of the only ones who was in that train to have stayed out, has just picked up himself up a 3-second time penalty, so that's not going to help him later on either.
No, it is not. That 3-second time penalty could cost a few of these drivers if there's a safety car. We're halfway into this race in just a few moments time, and I have to say Kazizel's doing very well to keep the rest of the field alive as well. Kazizel has really been on it as well. We haven't talked much about Kazizel. He's 8.9 seconds but clear of Rowan as well, so that's absolutely insane. So I think the two machines in the wet are P1 and P2, and that's why they were P1 and 2 in qualifying, but the other way around of course. Kazizel got pole position, but I would imagine Legend would have got Kazizel anyway as well, because Kazizel is not doing anything to catch up to Legend at the moment in the battle for the race victory. But you never know, anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does as well. And Kazizel at the moment, I need to check where he is in the standings. Kazizel is in P8, and he'll jump quite a bit in the standings if he finishes and where he is in 2nd position. Legend will jump off a bit as well, and technically he can try and aim for a top 3 spot as a reserve driver as well. And I'm just looking at his reserve stats. The only races he missed is round 1, round 3, round 4 and round 5. All the other races Legend has turned up as well, which just shows how reliable he is as a reserve. And I'd just like to say for all the reserves that are raced this season and has made up the effort to turn up to quite a lot of the races, thank you so much, because without you guys, you wouldn't have 4 grids, and I'm sure that just shows how dedicated some of those drivers are into racing in PSGL. Hopefully more drivers that don't bother showing up every week learn from this and know that if drivers consistently don't turn up each week, there's people like Legend that consistently turn up and can take the full-time seat away from me. 9 seconds between Legend and Kazizel, not almost 10 seconds between Kazizel and Rowan. These two are on another level right now. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, I'm very impressed as well. Like you say, Legend's performance is amazing, but we can't take anything away from Kazizel's performance. He is country miles ahead of the rest of the field as well. Kazizel's going to be gutted that Legend was available and called up tonight, wasn't he? Because if Legend wasn't here, Kazizel himself would be absolutely dominating this race. The only one that was keeping up with Kazizel was Tom, and Tom, of course, has now pitted for a fresh set of intermediate tyres. Kazizel staying out for 2 laps longer suggests to me he doesn't intend on pitting in this race, so he's going to try and stay out potentially to the end on this set of tyres. Further down the field, Asacombe has now caught Mish and is going to try and get his move done on the Ferrari driver, but Mish is going to try and hold Asacombe up as much as possible to back him back up into Dinerco, and then I'm sure when Dinerco gets there, Mish will let his Talent Factory and his Ferrari teammate driver through as Asacombe dives it down the inside at turn 16, and he's going to run Mish pretty much out of space. That was on the limit, but I would say fair for Asako. When he gets the move done, doesn't make any contact, and fair play as well for Misha for giving him the space to make that move as well. Asako is up into 8th place, and now golden opportunity here for Asako to try and get the pack behind. And as I say that, big snap of oversteer, and just as I say that, Misha decides to come into the pit lane, so he's not going to hold Dinerco up in any way, shape or form, and the gap that Asako had built up before that overtake has now completely evaporated.
Yes, indeed. As it stands, even if Dinerco and Valters do not score, both of them do not score, the gap will still not be enough for Valters to take the championship fight to Silverstone. If they both do not score, Dinerco will still be crowned champion. Valters will need to win and get fastest lap in the final 2 races, with Dinerco not scoring at all, in order for Valters to become champion, which is looking highly unlikely at the moment. It's looking like the Drivers' Championship is looking to be in the Tifosi favourite of Dinerco, and we got a retirement from Louis. His first race back after a few races off due to his race band has not gone well, and he's retired. Another driver to retire in the pit lane. I'm sure a few people won't be too happy with that as well, because it'll increase the gap to Rowan. I think it seemed to calm down a little bit. I think the only battle that's happening is between Dinerco and Rudy. They're 2 different esports teams, but I'm sure they want to have the rival a little bit there as well, heading towards turn number 12. Rudy seems to find a little bit more pace on much worn tyres, as I found on this game. Worn tyres which are a few laps older than the newer tyres. It's alright, because it takes a while for the newer tyres to get up to temperature, but I think it won't be that long before Dinerco could be back up on the pace again as well. So watch out for Dinerco as well as he closes in on Asacombe. Yellow flag, that is Louis' car being benched there as well due to his AI car retiring as well. And I wonder, the guys that are staying out on these old inters, would you gamble staying out with not many people catching up? Because Marcados wants some decent points, so does Fabi as well. But you can see the first person on fresher tyres, Tom, is catching at a rate of knots. So if I were the 2 Red Bulls, I'll be getting a little bit worried right now. So, same with Ray, but the top 3, they should be relatively comfortable right now.
Yeah, the top 3 look very comfortable. Like you say, that they don't really look like they're in much of a worry at the moment. Rowan, maybe with his penalty, it might be a little bit on edge, but that's not too much of a worry. I think if you're Marcados, you hope, as Ray now picks up a time penalty, if you're Marcados, you kind of hope that your teammate holds Tom up a little bit. Because other than Tom and Asacombe really pace-wise, but of course with a 5-second penalty, Asacombe's not really that much of a threat anymore in this race. These drivers on fresh intermediate tyres are not faster than the race leaders. On that last time around, Kazizel did a 47.2. Legend, I wouldn't even bother talking about Legend's lap times. We know he is miles ahead of the rest of the field.
Rudy and Dinerco! Oh, Dinerco's gone off the track a little bit there as well. He's lost position from Rudy as well. It doesn't matter in terms of the championship at the moment, but Dinerco is struggling a little bit on the wet as Rudy's let Dinerco through. So it looked like Rudy pushed Dinerco a little bit off the track, and that was good sportsmanship from Rudy there, saying, you know what, I made a mistake, you go through, let's fight for this for real, because otherwise he would get a penalty for that, and Rudy would not get a penalty. And those are in the rules. If you do push someone off track, you are expected to let a driver through, as Dinerco and Rudy make a little bit of a contact there, but I'm sure it doesn't matter. And something I was not expecting is Legend and Kazizel to come in into the pit lane. But they both, Legend has nothing to lose because he still comes out in the race lead. But Kazizel is going to drop down quite a bit. He could lose out to Tom in this instance. Yes, he does lose out to Tom. He was struggling out of the pit lane as well. Legend could afford that because the amount of the gap he had. Cazizzo could not afford that, but he was worried he would get absolutely swamped. So I did tell you that if Legend pits at any time, he'll come out ahead and in the race lead. And guess what? He's still your race leader, so he could be very comfortable to get those tyres to the end. But he's got to concentrate on his tyre warm-up at the moment, because we know that Rowan and Ray could catch up if they're not careful. But Legend's tyres will be in the operating window sooner before you know it. So Legend, not really a surprise for him to get back into the race lead there, because his pace was on fire. Because it's all lost out big time to Tom. So Tom, if the other drivers have to pit, Tom's on for a net P2.
Yeah, even without the pit stops, pretty much at this point, he's on there for a net P2, because if he can get past Farby, Markelos isn't far up the road, and then Rowan and Ray both have time penalties. So we'll see what Tom can do. I mean, we fully get the strategy from Legend. He's so far ahead of the rest of the field that he can make a pit stop if he wants, and he doesn't have to worry. As Fabi and Tom racing here in the middle part of the lap. Fabi's really struggling now on his older intermediate tyres, but he's got the inside line for the next corner. Asacombe and Cazizzo were going side by side. Cazizzo's made a mistake somewhere in the middle part of the lap and has dropped another 3 seconds, and now behind Asacombe on the road. Tom's now down the inside of Fabi at the long right-hander, makes a little bit of contact with the side pod of the Red Bull, but gets away with it. They get away with that one, but Tom just understeering into the side. But yeah, Cazizzo, a little bit of almost a spin coming out of the pit lane, and now has made a mistake somewhere in the middle part of the lap to drop behind Asacombe now. So yeah, not a great lap, unfortunately, for Cazizzo. And unless his tyres were absolutely not going to make it to the end of the race, I don't personally understand this call from Cazizzo to pit, because he was so far ahead, on track ahead of Tom, and Tom's pace wasn't really any faster than the McLaren. If his tyres definitely weren't going to make it to the end and he was going to puncture, fair enough. But if he was teetering on the edge of puncture territory, I would have just risked it and stayed out, because he
Legend.
This is Legend. An almost perfect race for Legend. Not quite perfect anymore. We're going to have to...
Doesn't matter.
Knock it. No, we're going to have to knock him 0.1 of a mark for getting a penalty. 0.9 out of 10 is definitely not bad at all, is it? What a dominant performance, and you can get away with a penalty like that, like you say. But yeah, unless Cazizzo could definitely not make it to the end of this race, I don't personally understand this decision from Cazizzo to pit.
Yeah, I think he would have probably stayed ahead of Rowan anyway as well, but maybe he was just struggling a little bit for grip. We don't know as well, but if he was struggling a little bit for grip, he should have pit it earlier, maybe the same time as Tom as well, and he would have got ahead of Tom. He would have been a net P2, and we would have been in exactly the same position as he was before he pit. But you got to make your bed and lie in it, and that's what Cazizzo is doing at this moment in time. And at the moment, he's sitting in a potentially a net P, well, not even a net P3 at this moment in time, because Ascombe's trying to close in as well. The gap's around about 5 seconds for Tom as well, with Tom being on 5 laps. Old tired as Tom makes his way past Fabi, as no, he can't, as Fabi fights back. Fabi is fighting back. Oh, contact is made there. Surely the position has got to be given back to Fabi there as well. Potentially has been forced off the road, but again, Tom didn't need to fight that one, because he knew he could have got him anyway, because Tom being on the fresher tyres. But we know Tom likes a little bit of a fight in PSGL. He wants to fight for as many points as he can get, because he doesn't want to go to the final round for aiming for second place. He wants to get second place, ideally, to want to stand the best chance in this race as well, because we've got Valtters in P2 in the standings. He's 11th, not scoring any points. Then we've got Rudy. He's currently sitting in 9th, so he's got to stand the best chance of gaining an advantage in this race right here and right now, and he's 3.5 seconds behind Marketos. He's already pulling away from Fabi, to be fair, so I wonder if he got held up a little bit. And look at that already. Despite Legend pitting just now, he's already starting to increase the gap like he did just before he pitted. That is just incredible. Wow.
It's sensational, isn't it? He seems to be really the only one that's able to make these fresh intermediate tyres work, because no one else really down this field is that fast on these fresh intermediate tyres. The only one that is Asacombe, which you would expect now that he's in clean air. He's got great pace. Cazizzo as well, but of course Cazizzo's been fast all race long. So other than that, everybody else on a fresh set of intermediate tyres is not really any faster than they were before they pitted. So they're not catching Rowan, Ray and Markelos anywhere as fast as I thought they would, or maybe they thought they would at the moment. And Tom here is in a bit of a sticky situation, because on paper you would say it should be an easy second place, but He's got it. Look at that lap time from Legend. What on earth? A 45.3. That is miles quicker than anybody else is in the 47s, and he's now in the 45s. That is a ridiculous.
That is insane.
Yeah, but the thing is for Tom, of course, Ray and Rowan do have penalties, but he is nowhere near 3-second range of Rowan at the moment, and Rowan's got 2 cars in defence behind him in Ray and Marcados, and of course Marcados doesn't have a penalty at all. So if Marcados can hold on to track position here, Marcados is within range to potentially take a second place finish in this race if he can hold on to track position ahead of Tom. And if he can, that is a mega performance from Marcados, because we've not, to be fair to him, he's had pace at different points in the season, but he's never had a really good result this season. But even if he does let Tom go, the only person behind him, really, you've got to say, on pace that can now catch him is Asicum and Kazizel. But Asicum's got a 5-second penalty. So either way, Marcados here in P4, if he can get these tyres to the end of the race, is in a very good position. That
will be his best result of the season. He only scored 1 point, and that was in Austria. 2 points, I believe, in Austria at the beginning of the season. And unfortunately, he's had a few DNFs in Miami and Belgium. He had a did not start as well. 0 points in Japan and Monza, and some 0 points in Brazil as well, and a DNF. No, he didn't get a DNF in Jeddah. He actually finished in Jeddah, but just missed out on the point as well. And even if he just starts to fall back a little bit, he's still going to gain some really good places due to the fact that he's got no penalties at all. So to be honest, he's the best driver to keep in the conditions. Oh my god, once again Legend is on fire. Tom 3-second time penalty. 10 seconds now is the gap between Legend and Rowan. Technically, Legend could just back off a little bit. Just back off, please, and make it interesting. Joking. To be honest, he just wants to have a little bit of fun, because Legend realistically can get P2 in the drivers, realistically, even though he's reserve as well, which proves a statement. But we're on lap 22 at the moment. Still drives that could be up there. Fabi as well, having a very good race as well. He's keeping his tyres in good knit as well, but he's got a dreaded Ascom and Kazizel catching as well. Rudy's catching as well. This could be the fight that we'll be watching for coming towards the end of the race. And Marcados! As I was talking about how Marcados was doing well, and the Red Bulls, boom, he got a penalty. So what could have been a P3 for Marcados, well, he's going to be fighting for P4 now with the likes of Tom, but you could still get P3 from Ray. Let's check time penalties actually. You could still get P3. No, they're all on 3 seconds. The only one on more than 3 seconds is Ascom on 5, who's going for a battle with the likes of Fabi actually. Brock on 6 and Fede on 9. Has a little bit of a switcheroo almost from both of the drivers. Ascom tries to go around the left-hand side of turn 12 then. With good measure, we got Kazizel right in the middle of this as well. We can't afford to get tangled into this as well. As Ascom again got very squirmy as they head towards turn 15. That was almost very bold from Ascom there. But Fabi was like, no thank you, you're not in that position. And Ascom is almost going to lose that position as they head towards turn 16. It's very tight between both drivers. As they losing time to Fabi there. But after making contact, Fabi will be absolutely loving this. And look on the back of this, we've got Rudy and Dan Urko then as well. This could get very, very interesting indeed as well as we head towards the final stages of this Grand Prix. This could mean anything in terms of championship position as well. They may not be fine for the championship, but this is good battling nonetheless, as Kazizel can't afford to make contact with Ascom in front, but he can't afford to make contact with Rudy, which he almost did there, heading towards the S's. With those fresher tyres, it's starting to get a bit more difficult for some of these drivers. The one who's had the upper hand, the advantage, is Legend up in front in P1, and Kazizel in P8 with 5 lap tyres. If Kazizel stayed out, he would have just been comfortably in P2. He's got into a mess he shouldn't be able to, but he's probably regretting this, but it may be a reason why he pitted. You never know, but he's still stuck in that fight now. This can go on for quite a few laps already, and let's just hope there's no carnage, because at the moment this race has been pretty clean. No major trouble. The only retirements have been so far, touch, where drivers have retired in the pit lane.
Yeah, it's been a fairly clean race so far and great racing throughout the field. Fabi is playing a great team player role here right now. He is saving Markados some positions here to Kazizel and Rudy. He is holding this train up as much as he can to try and save a great result, not only for himself, but for Markados as well in front. So you can tell after that penalty, Markados is up the pace. He's now right on the back of Ray and Tom right behind as well. And this is, of course, an on-track fight for the final spot on the podium. At the moment, Ray would hold the podium from where he was on the grid, by the way. Of course, he's not made a pit stop in this race. Ray's up 13 places in this race. He's flown under the radar, but he's had a brilliant race, has Ray, in this McLaren yet again, having a really, really strong race so far, as Tom's had a great run out of the final corner. Is he close enough to make a move here, potentially, on Markados into turn one? Yes, he is. Markados really slow in a straight line there. Almost looked like he backed off the throttle against Tom, and Tom is through and up into fourth position. So now it's going to be difficult for Ray to hold on to that podium position unless Tom gets another penalty or Rowan in front gets a penalty. And by the way, I am still utterly staggered by the pace that Legend has in this race, because he is now 15 seconds clear of Rowan, and Rowan's not stopped in this race. Rowan has not made a pit stop. Legend has. You add another 22 seconds onto this lead for that pit stop the Legend has made, and he is close to 40 seconds clear of Rowan. This is an unbelievable performance by Legend. I don't...
It is best performance this season, by far.
I think it's honestly, this could be up there for one of the best performances in PSGL F1 history. This is insane, this level of performance that we've seen from Legend, and I fear that this race from Legend is already making next season boring, because this is making Legend look like the clear favourite for next season if he is going to be racing full time, because no one is anywhere near close to him in pace. No one's within a second of him at the moment, lap time wise. He is still running in the 45s, and at the moment, Kazizel and Asakome are the only ones.
I think he's running quicker as well. He's running quicker this lap, it looks like, as well. He's still draining the ERS, and he's not even doing so as well as... no, he wasn't going quicker, but still in the 156s is something to not be sniffed at, as Fabi is being pressured once again from Asakome and Kazizel. I am a bit scared that this could be ending up in an incident sooner or later as well, so they got to keep it calm and collected for the final few laps as they do make contact, as I spoke too soon. Commentators curse there. That's allowing Rudy to get in position. So is Denurko, because Kazizel and Asakome got getting a bit squirmy there as well. Tom down the left-hand side of Ray there, as Tom gets past right up into third place. And yeah, there's been performances in PSGL history that come close, like Jarno Opmeer, remember, Louis Welsh, Wilson Hughes as well, to name a few. Those drivers have been on form in PSGL. Matthew Older as well from last season, as Fabi is retired from the pit lane. He's had enough after that squabble. Those drivers have been on form as well, and Legend, I think we can add to that list as well, just being by being so dominant as well. Who knows, we could see Legend on the PC side. I'm surprised he's not on the PC side already, but I could see him challenging for the Challengers next year in 2023 as well, when that opens up to PlayStation as well, because obviously Denurko won't be there. If he wants to go for Challengers, more than likely he's going to be on for PC as well. And Evan even agrees what we were saying in the commentary box. And this might just be the greatest performance in PSGL history, and I have to say, It is up there with the likes of Jarno Opmeer, Wilson Hughes, Louis Welsh, Matthew Older, and a few other PSGL champions as well, to name a few. Obviously Connor as well, a 7-time PSGL champion as well. Maybe this could be the start for things to come for Legend. I'm just a bit worried, though, that this win is going to be overshadowed, because we are about to see a champion being crowned in a few laps' time.
Yeah, about to see a champion, like you say, crowned in just 3 laps' time here for Denurko. But this has been the most un-Denurko-like performance to win a championship, hasn't it? As it stands, Denurko's not scoring any points. He's got 2 penalties. That will drop him behind H. Eagle into 12th position. And that would be the first time this season that Denurko will not score if it stays like this, and he will win the championship in the process. How bizarre. What a bizarre way to finish off the championship. And that would mean as well that Philip Wouters would be the only driver in the field to score points in every race going into the final round, which Philip Wouters, you've got to say, while this at the moment is looking obviously like a Denurko championship unless something utterly insane happens in these last couple of laps, Philip Wouters the performance upgrade we've seen from Philip Walters from last season to this season has been staggering, hasn't it? He played a very good second fiddle role last season to Isma in his push for the championship. Walters had a couple of strong performances, a couple of podiums last season, but didn't really shine all that much in comparison to the likes of Matthew Older and Matsuisa and all that lot. This season, he has really jumped to the front of the field and had a great season, and it's been really, really great to see. Unfortunately, he's going to come up short championship-wise, but to be potentially, after this race is done, the only driver to score points in every race this season, that is incredible consistency from the Alfa Romeo driver.
And he only won in Austria as well, and he's still been able to keep up there in the top 2 for most of this season. That's how consistent he has been, and that's what he wasn't lacking this season compared to his rivals as well. But he did get a podium in Brazil as well. Another driver did well in the wet as well. It's just a shame that there was not a safety car that could have brought him back into contention due to the fresher tyres potentially as well. This could be a very interesting ending that way, but Ray and Marcados are starting to fight for P3. Same with Rowan as well. Rowan does not want to lose the podium that easy as well. Tom, I think, will be happy with second place at the moment. That's one step close for him, taking the advantage from his rivals to get P2 as Marcados gets past Ray, it looks like, up into P4 then. I have to say, I haven't seen moves like that for Marcados in a long time. He was very, very brave in the wet conditions. And Marcados there doing a sensational job. One of his best races of the season thus far, I have to say, because he was being not consistent. He was near the bottom as well, scoring points. And there's been some doubts going into the season. Should Marcados really be in F1? Well, maybe he got the kick up the butt, to be honest, because he felt that, well, Connor felt that Marcados should be moved down to F2. Well, he's showing in the wet conditions that he's definitely F1 material at the moment, and if he could keep this together, then maybe he can still get an F1 seat. You never know, and if he doesn't get an F1 seat, he could be F2 champion material as well with his performance as Marcados. He may go the long way round. Now he's going to go the short way round as well. And Rowan can't make contact too much as well. Rowan's going to try and fight back, which he does as well. This could go all the way to the end of this race. And whilst we were saying, Legend has just gained another 6 seconds as we were speaking. Oh my goodness, this man is... Well, I don't know what he's on at the moment. What did he have for breakfast this morning? Because if he had something for breakfast this morning, he should keep it up for the next season, I think, because that's what's going to do it. As he's on the final lap of this race, he could just cruise it home as well, and he will be overshadowed at the moment from Danerco's championship fight. But, you know, he's still on... If he races next week, he could still be on the hunt for a top 3 in the championship as well. And that will definitely mean you'll get a full-time seat next season as Marcados and Rowan again fight for P3 in the race so far as Brock gets a time penalty as well. Asako, Ray's dropped it. Ray's dropped it in the S's then. So what could have been good points for the McLaren team? Well, that's definitely faltered for Ray, unfortunately. He's dropped down to 12th place. That looks like Danerco.
I think.
Puncher it looks like as well. 27 laps. That's dangerous for Rowan and Marcados. I'm a bit worried about them, but that could mean Danerco could still get points. That he could still get points, actually, so he could continue his point scoring streak as well. So he must have listened to us at this moment in time as Marcados and Rowan are fighting again on this back straight then. Heading towards turn 10 as well. Rowan losing a bit of traction at this moment in time. We'll keep an eye on Legend in just a second as Kazizel, where's he come from? Kazizel on the fresher tyres. It looks like it could be free abreast in towards turn 11 and 12. Let's see what they could do then as Kazizel could get past all 4 of these drivers. Asacombe is in there as well, but let's go back to our race leader. Legend from lights to flag wins the race. He took the lead. He stayed there. Tom drifts towards turn 16 there as well. He's going to get P2, but who's going to get the final podium position? Ascomb's had a bit of a spin, unfortunately, and he's retired from the session. The first on-track retirement of the race so far. Kazizel looks like he's going to get P3, but who's going to get P4? Is it going to be... I think he's going to be Rudy, because Rudy has no time penalties. But we'll keep an eye on the man, the myth, the legend, Danerco. He didn't do it last season. But even though he scored 1 point this season, he is your PSGL PSF1 champion for season 31. Congratulations, Danurko. You have done it.
He's done it. Danurko has done it. What a season it has been from Danurko. His worst performance of the season as well, by his standards, picks him up the driver's title. What a bizarre race that was from start to finish. But yeah, congratulations to Danurko. So close last season, didn't get it. Returned this season and has picked up the title. One race from the end as well. Brilliant stuff from him. And yeah, fair play to a lot of drivers in this field. Fair play to Wouters for putting up as much of a fight as he possibly could in the championship. He just came up too short at the end, but still a great performance from him. And yeah, not to overshadow with the championship, but my oh my, what a performance from Legend. 22 seconds clear of Tom, who was on the same strategy as him, and then over 30 seconds clear of third place in that race. I say over 30 seconds, it was on track. The penalty cost him that 30-second gap, but either way, what a performance from Legend. What an amazing performance from him.
Well, I'm just saying in the chat, even though with Wouters finishing in 5th place, it's not enough. The gap needed to be pretty much 17 points to take it down to a championship decider. The gap was minus 28, so yeah, the gap was 33 points going into this race, and pretty much Wouters needed to win and get fastest lap. But I don't usually give driver of the day to a man who dominates the race, but I'm going to have to give it to him. He took the lead. He got the fastest lap. He won the race from 20 seconds, but discount the pit stop, it would have been 40 seconds. There's no doubt I'm gonna have to give driver of the day to the Dutchman, to Legend as well. It's his second race win of the season actually, so far. It could have been one in Monza, but he got a penalty. But let's run through your order then. Legend Tom, from Kazidl, Rudy, Wouters, Markados, Namaya, Rowan, H. Eagle, Danurko gets your final point and is your champion. And we got Brock, Mish, Ray, Fede, Asakone, Fabi, Louis, Romanino, Fazio, and Jensen, and quite a few DNFs to boot as well. But you're going to have to give the driver of the day to Legend, but I'm going to have to get this graphic up. I've had this graphic on my OBS for such a long time. I thought I was going to play it last week, but it didn't happen. But it's happened this week. Danurko is your season 31 champion for PSF1, and he said if he did get crowned champion, he will move to PC full time and not go on PlayStation next season. So next week will be the final race we will see from him on PlayStation. But he has raced a few races on PC on this game, and he's looking quite rapid there too. So we could see him in F2 next season, but let's hope that he does the next race on a high in Silverstone. But at least he can race easy next week. But congratulations once again to our champion.
Yeah, congratulations to Danurko. What a season it was for him. He looked like the favourite from the start, didn't he? Super consistent all season long. Most wins of anybody so far this season as well. He's done an absolutely brilliant job. And like you say, moving over to PC most likely this time next season. And yeah, it's going to be a shame to see him leave the PlayStation side of things, but there's a lot of potential when Danurko isn't there moving forward. He's got so much to look forward to, challenges and things like that as well coming up soon next year as well. Got to look out for those things as well. So potentially a lot on the horizon for Danurko after this championship win. And yeah, he can take it easy next time out at Silverstone for the final round of the season, which I'm sure he'll be very happy about. And yeah, it's a really, really great season for him. And yeah, already, but I don't want to be too mean to him, but with him leaving the championship, that blows things wide open for next season, doesn't it? Next season is going to be really, really interesting now with Danurko. I think coming into this season, you had to say Danurko was the favourite, wasn't he? After the performance he put in last season against the likes of Isma and Matthew Older, he was so strong last season. He was easily the favourite coming in, and he's proved everybody right with this performance. But yeah, after today's race and after going into next season, it's going to be incredibly difficult to predict who's going to be at the front next time out. And Legend has put himself in. He's made a great case for himself to be one of the front runners next season. Is Legend today?
Definitely, and I'll have to say, if anyone doesn't agree with us, he has put on the greatest performance in PSGL history as Legend as well. Hopefully we can hear from him as well. Hopefully we can hear from our champion as well. But before we hear from our champion, we are going to speak to the drivers that got on to the podium, as I can find the interview screen. There we go, I eventually found it as well. We actually get some interviews this week. We may as well speak to our pole sitter first, and that was Kazizzle. Kazizzle, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Kazizzle there, quite a few of your rivals pitted quite early. You choose to stay out a little bit longer. Were you a bit worried that you were going to lose out even more in the final stages of the race there?
Well, it was definitely like I guess a weird situation because it wouldn't have been a worry, but my wheel turned off twice, exiting the pits. So I lost probably about 5-6 seconds, and then that put me under so much unnecessary pressure, which wouldn't have been there. But I feel like we pitted in the right spot. I feel like it's clear because my tyre advantage at the end was quite massive. So yeah, I think I was fine.
Yeah, as well. The talk was about your qualifying lap as well. I have to say, out of all the poles you got this season, I think you got the unofficial pole award for PSGL PSF1. How did you hook that lap together so early on into the session? Because you were tied towards the end of qualifying. You didn't get a final lap in. What made you so confident out there?
So to be honest, going into this, I was actually quite like normal. I'm quite like uncomfortable going into the session, and my PB is normally quite bad. And then I go into the session, I perform because that lap was my PB, like all practice and everything. But I don't know, that just hooked up perfectly. And I always find if you nail T1, everything else just comes together. And I got quite a good T1, and the whole lap was just flowing. So it's just really nice, to get. I think I don't even know, 4 poles. It was really good.
Yeah, and going into the race as well, you're in battle. You had a quiet race towards the start, but when you pitted, you got in a little bit of fights there as well. There was quite a lot of pressure going into these final few rounds as well. But talk us what was going through your mind there on the fresh tyres, because it did take a while to warm up eventually as well. That's why potentially you didn't get that undercut right. But talk us through what was going through your mind trying to keep it on the road.
Yeah, 100%. So when my wheel turned off for the second time, I dropped behind Asakomi, and it was really frustrating because I knew I had the pace I was quicker than him, I knew that. So it was kind of frustrating to sit behind him for so many laps. And obviously it's really difficult as it is, and you're trying to push to catch up to the guys ahead. From what I knew, I think Rowan, the top 4 or something had pens, so I knew if I just kept going, I'd be fine. And then Fabi was quite, I guess, resilient to let go of his position, which is fair enough. So it took an awful while to get past him. I think he got hit by Asakomi or something like that. But that was really difficult. And then the last 5-6 laps, it was literally just full push, because I think when I got in front of everyone, the gap was 9 seconds. So I had 4 laps to try and get that, and then in the end, obviously, it worked. So it's quite nice.
Yes, Aidan, any questions for him?
I think going forward into the final round of the season, of course, there's not anything to fight for drivers-wise, but manufacturers-wise, you are very close to the top, if not at the top of the standings now. Manufacturers-wise, it's close between you and Mercedes, with Ferrari not particularly scoring very well today. Do you think you and Ray can take the manufacturers' title next time out?
Yeah, I feel 100%. I feel like Ray's proved himself to be, quite quick this year, and I feel like, I have my days where, at Imola and Monza, where I'm not at my best. But I feel like if I could just get a decent result in, and he can get a decent result in, I don't see why not. We can go for the constructors.
Yeah, it's looking very good for you, for the pair of you. And speaking of next time out, Silverstone to finish off. How do you feel about Silverstone as a circuit? Is it a track you enjoy?
Yeah, of course. Being British, it's just everything. You always want to win that race because it's just bragging rights, isn't it? And also, it's just a lovely circuit. One of my favourite tracks. Since I started, it's just always been a track I enjoyed. So we'll just see how it goes. In the past, I've been strong there, but new game, you never know.
Yeah, you never know exactly. It will be interesting to find out and see. But yeah, congratulations on another podium finish tonight.
Thank you very much, guys.
Well, it looks like we're going to be quite busy in terms of interviews, because we got 2 of our podium contenders waiting, as well as our champion in waiting as well. But we're going to be interviewing our second place man as well, and could potentially get P2 in the championship as well after tonight. Tom, a massive congratulations to you on P2. After knowing that P1 was out of reach, were you happy with P2?
Yeah. I mean, that's a big gap to legend, so obviously I knew it was quite far gone, but I'm happy with second. I know with my penalty, you know, because there's had a bit more luck. I might have got P3, so yeah, I'm happy with P2.
Yes, indeed. Obviously, you decided to pick quite early on compared to your main rivals as well. Talk us through your thought process going through that. Were your tyres struggling, or did you just want to get that undercut?
Yeah, I wanted well, if you think about it, half race and half the race on one set, half race on the other set, it was like, it was near enough the like optimal strategy, but it did bring me out behind Fabi and that, but I did get the undercut on Kazizel, which was in the end quite crucial. But your legend strategy was definitely better to stay out and come out in front of them guys who haven't pitted, and he didn't have all the hassle of overtaking them, which probably gained him like at least 6 or 7 seconds. But at the end of the day, he was quite far clear. Anyway, obviously, the Park Fair may glitch. He may have had a
Yes.
setup, but at the end of the day,
It's
only
not enforced, I
seconds.
don't
Yeah.
think, so...
Yeah.
But at the...
But
Sorry.
yeah, the undercut was just to get past Kazizel, but I don't know how. I didn't know. I thought maybe Legend would have stayed out and tried to go to the end as well, and I would have needed to push as hard as I can on the new tyres, so that it wasn't like last week where I didn't catch him enough. So yeah, I just pitted all right, sort of even.
Yeah, because it seemed like you had a bit of fun battling towards the end there as well, and you managed to keep it clean as well. And I was talking to obviously the Casido as well about his fight going through the field as well. Was it a bit harder since you pitted quite early and you were trying to get past people on Warner tyres?
Well, the later it got in the race, like the later it got, the easier it got to overtake them. So like the Fabi overtake was quite difficult, and he obviously made it quite difficult by being aggressive for like no given reason. It's just hating his own race, to be honest. But yeah, he decided to defend like his life depended on it, and so that overtake was quite difficult. But then once I caught up to the other three, Markadors like sort of knew that battling me would cost him more time than gain, because obviously them three were in their own battle. So he sort of let me go, and then as soon as I got alongside Ray, he let me go. And Rowan didn't really fight me either. As soon as I chucked it up the inside, he backed out. So it was quite fun. But as I say, the further into the race it got, the more worn their tyres were, and it was quite easy to overtake them.
Fair enough. Aidan, any questions for Tom, who finished in second tonight?
Yeah, speaking of finishing in second in the championship is the fight for you now, with Philip Wouters kind of your main target going forwards now for that. How are you feeling about Silverstone, and do you think you can solidify that second place in the championship?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure about Silverstone. I think I'm all right around there, but obviously I don't know about the other guys. Like I did win the like pre-season race there, but that was without Selps, and then
Ah, yes, I remember.
I haven't raced against Philip around that track. I'm not sure about. Yeah. Anyway, the gap's dead small, so it could be like a little incident or anything that costs second in the championship. But definitely going to try my best to solidify it.
Yeah, and I'll ask the same question I asked to Kazizel as well. Manufacturers-wise, it's very close going into the final round between yourselves, McLaren and Ferrari. Do you think yourself and Brock can take home the manufacturers for Mercedes?
Well, I mean, Brock definitely had really good pace today, but as soon as he saw the rain, like, yeah, he has not done much rain like practice in this game. He said that he'd only done Brazil last week, and that was literally all the wets he'd done. So he's definitely been unlucky, but we're definitely gonna try and get the constructors. I don't know what the gap will be next week, but we've definitely got a shot. I know, obviously, we're both British. So we both want a good result at our home circuit, and we did well in SRC. But yeah, that's the aim for next week. Second place on the constructors, but you know, can't complain with second.
Yeah, you'll have to wait and see. I think if I do my quick maths correctly, I believe you and Ferrari will be level on points, and McLaren will be 2 points behind going into the final round if my maths are correct. So it's very
Oh.
close going into the final round manufacturers wise. So yeah, looking forward to that battle. And congratulations on another podium finish, Tom.
Thank you.
Right then, I'll let you have the final two people, Aidan, as well. So before we speak to our champion in waiting, we may as well drag the man who has been pretty much dominant from start to finish, and I'll let you take this one, Aidan.
Yeah, we'll take this one then. We'll jump right into it with one of the, well, we've said it multiple times on the stream, one of the most dominant and one of the best performances we've ever seen in PSGL F1. Legend, congratulations on an amazing performance today. First of all, tell us your secret for wet weather driving, because my, Sao Paulo was a great race already, but today, absolutely incredible, brilliant performance from yourself. How was that from your side of things?
Yeah, thank you first of all. Yeah, it's been incredible today. The pace was just outstanding. Yeah, I have to confess I was running an Inter setup, so yeah, that helped. But I think just pace-wise, this is the best race of my life.
Yeah, definitely. Even with an Inter setup, your pace was miles beyond what we saw from everybody else. So I guess talk us through kind of your thought process when it came to pitting. Of course, you had such a lead that you didn't have to pit, it seemed, but you decided to pit anyway. Was it just a case of covering off any eventualities, or was that always the plan to pit?
No, it was a little bit the same situation as Sao Paulo, because I wanted to go to the end as well this time, but I just saw the tire where I was getting very high, and I thought, yeah, I would never make this. And I was a little bit scared because I thought, yeah, maybe some other drivers will do the same as what I did in Sao Paulo. But yeah, the pace was so good, I had the gap, so I thought, yeah, why not pit? I have the pace and the gap, so yeah, I just pitted and drove to the end.
Yeah, played it safe and it worked out brilliantly in your favour. I guess going forwards for you, of course, you are a reserve driver this season, but you're still doing incredibly well championship-wise. You're up there in, I believe, coming into this race, at least you were running, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in 6th in the standings. What's, I guess, the target for you going forwards in PSGL? Of course, next season's obviously going to be coming up not too far away now. Is the plan to run full-time next season in this, or is it more of a case of targeting something else?
I guess for next season, the main target is just to get a main seat, because it's a little bit, yeah, not good when you're a reserve, because it's every week, like, can you drive or not? So it's as well with practice a little bit weird. But so far, the main target is to get a main seat, and then obviously challenge for the championship.
Yeah, and obviously with a performance like that today, you're definitely looking like one of the front runners going into next season if you do get that seat. Jess, anything you'd like to ask to our race winner today?
Yes, certainly. I like to say, whatever you've been eating this morning and throughout the day, just please keep going next week if you're racing. I have to say, because that was incredible. I think we were blown away for your performances today. Next week, the final race in Silverstone. If you are going to be racing around there, how confident do you feel around that track? Because we do know it also has a bit of a high chance of wet weather. Are you confident that you'll score quite highly no matter what the weather conditions are like?
Yeah, we'll see. Silverstone normally is my best track. At least last year's game, it was my best track. So I hope I can convert it as well on this game. And yeah, I'm ready. If it's dry or wet, I will be fast.
Brilliant, that's absolutely fantastic. Again, massive congratulations to you, and I think everybody will be very happy with your performance there. So well done.
Thank you a lot.
And we may
well done, legend. Yeah.
And we may as well, Aidan. Again, we will leave it to the man who we wanted to speak to for quite a while. It's his first time we spoke to him in a long time. I'll drag him in and I'll get the graphic up as well, and you can interview him as well. Congratulations to our newly crowned PlayStation F1 champion, Denurko. Round of applause. Woo! First,
I'll go ahead and say congratulations to Nerko. Yeah, what a brilliant season from yourself, winning it around early as well. Brilliant stuff from yourself. But you've got to, I think me and Jess both agreed on commentary, the most under-Nurko way to win the championship on your end. It wasn't really the best race for yourself. Before we go through the championship, talk us through that race for you, because it didn't look the most enjoyable from your side of things.
Yeah, absolutely my worst race of the season. Yeah, I was using a low wing setup, and yeah, when I saw the race was wet, I was just okay, just take the car home, and I qualified P3, so not bad. But then in the race, I had like 36, 26 wings, and so I was a rocket on the straight, but of course I couldn't turn, and also had like 55 snaps of oversteer, all laps, and I also took 6 seconds of penalty. I didn't take maybe like 5 warnings all the season, and I took 6 in this race. So yeah, I don't even like the wet conditions, but the setup was the worst for the conditions we had, and so yeah, this average race, my worst race of the season.
Yeah, worst race of the season, unfortunately, but the worst race of the season for you wins you the title in the end, which is a little bit of a bizarre way to win it for yourself. But yeah, talk about your season as a whole. It's been, I think, coming into this season, you definitely were one of the favourites coming in. It's fair to say, after your performance in the previous season as well. Was it difficult to kind of live up to that kind of pressure coming into the season, knowing that people were looking at you to potentially be the front runner, or was it a case of just taking it race by race and seeing how it goes?
I'm more of a consistent guy, and you also know it by the races because you commentate, so you know the drivers. And I only got 1 pole position, which is strange. So that shows, and not the best qualifiers of all time, but I'm quite smart in the race. So I think my racecraft is the best characteristics maybe that I have, and just being smart in the races, doing the best strategy I can, being smart with the overtakes, with the battery, also looking at other people points in the championship. Yeah, consistency is key, and that show it.
Yeah, consistency is key, and it's the race where the points are paid out, not in qualifying. So you got it the right way round in that sense, that you would get better in the races than you were in qualifying. I guess looking forward for you to the future now, of course, you've mentioned a few times now that the PC side of things is where you'll be heading in the future. Talk us through kind of what your plan is going forwards, and how excited you are looking forward into the future and what's potentially on the horizon for yourself.
I'm really excited, also because the PC side is, I think they are really strong. They're stronger than PlayStation for sure. And also I have to build like kind of a experience on PC, because even if I'm kind of experienced in PlayStation side, the way the PC works and the inputs of the throttle and the brakes is completely different. So I also have to build experience on the battles, because of the inputs. I'm doing quite good. Actually, in the PC side, I was faster than in quali than in the race. So it's kind of the opposite than on PC. Because, I did like P5 in WR. I did a P4 in PSGL last time in Jeddah, but I finished second.
Yeah.
And also I got another like P6 in WR once again.
There you go.
So I'm there with the pace of quali. Just need to improve the race, and that's kind of the opposite of PlayStation.
Definitely the opposite of PlayStation, like you say, but you've shown already this season that you have the smarts and the wit to know how to win around a race. So I'm sure it will come nice and naturally for you. Jess, is there anything you'd like to add to our season 31 champion?
Well, I'd just like to say a massive congratulations to you. I've enjoyed commentating on you throughout the season. Pretty much, Aiden's nicked pretty much almost all my questions, but I have one question that I would like to say to you. Season 32 is obviously coming up. What advice would you give to any PlayStation drivers out there that want to go for a championship, that want to potentially go for the top few no assist tiers for next season? What would be your advice? Because you've done it. What would be your advice?
First thing, have fun. Because if you don't have fun with the game, or don't like it, or you just swear every race because of maybe a contact or something, it's not a good thing, you know. Also because of the kind of way you feel bad maybe after the race, or you think you want to quit or something. Just have fun. I had bad races like also last year, and also today. This was a shit race, to be honest.
Well, but I'll pretend you didn't say that S word.
Yeah, sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah, just have fun. Of course, if you want to win the championship or something, just being consistent. Yeah, have fun. The first thing is.
I have to say, that is a strong advice I think I would take as well, because if you don't have fun, then what's the point in racing? So, good idea there as well. And, well, best of luck for the final race of the season, because you can enjoy and have a bit of a relax. And I think we're going to miss you after this season, because even though I didn't commentate on you the last few seasons, it's been such a privilege to watch you grow since you came into the fold. I can't remember if it was a start in F1 2021 when I started to notice you, and you progressed a lot since then. So again, massive congratulations, and we're gonna sadly we miss you on the PSI, but I know you're gonna rock it on PC and show the PC guys what you're made of. So best of luck, and best of luck next week, and you can have a bit of fun then.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks also for the comments and for the commentating all the season. You've been absolutely great, both of you.
No worries. You've been a pleasure to watch all season as well. So yeah, we will let you go, and congratulations again to our season 31 champion for PSF1, and Denerko. Woo! I clap again. I like clapping. It's great. So we are about to wrap up tonight's proceedings, because it's almost 1:45, and everyone loved us in the interview room. Usually we only have one interview, but this week we had 3, which is great. We didn't have any interviews last week due to the whole kerfuffle with the lobby glitch as well. But anyway, it was a good race. It shows that wet races definitely bring some sort of spark in our PSGL. But we got the final race next week in Britain. No drivers' championship to be decided, but we still got the constructors, and we still got second and third place to be decided. So still plenty to be decided going into the final round, and this is something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. We were so conditioned on the previous 2 F1 games to having really boring, dull, wet races, weren't we? That all of a sudden on this game they seem to have really come alive again, and it's great fun to watch. And dare I say, I now look forward to a wet race as a commentator. I never usually used to look forward to them, but now I do. They are really, really great fun. Brazil and today have been 2 of the best races of the season, in my opinion, in terms of action. So yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff today. And yeah, if my quick maths were correct, the manufacturers going into next week is incredibly interesting with our top 2 tied on points, if I have done that correctly. So if that is the case, bring it on. The manufacturers is going to be incredibly fun to watch, but also difficult from us permutations wise, because they made it easy for us drivers wise, but not manufacturers, have they? It's going to be a difficult one to maintain for next week, but I'm looking forward to it. And for Silverstone to be the finale as well, it's going to be a really close and interesting race, definitely.
And it started as the pre-season race as well. The first ever race on the F1 22 game was around Silverstone with no setups as well, so we get to really see the progression from July when we all got the game, and to now with them having setups as well. So I think this is going to come full circle as well. And even though it's the final race of the season, even though the championship is still pretty much decided, it's still going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you join us next week at same time as well. But we got the final races on the PC side coming up this week, with many champions to be crowned. I believe F2 and F4 have still got their titles to be decided. F3 had their title crowned last week, so we want to check that at that's out. F2 is on Wednesday night with Luke Etheridge and Chris Buxton taking you through the action. Then we got F3, F4, F5, S6 on Thursday. On Sunday we've got the lower PlayStation tiers, and then on Monday we have got PSF2, I believe, still got a title to be decided as well, with a few other PlayStation tiers still got their titles to be decided for the drivers. So best of luck to them as well. Hopefully they get the amount of support and love as we do as well, because their title deciders should be just as epic. We also got GT7 on tomorrow as well. Tier 1 and Tier 2 could be at 8 PM, I believe, Luke, for Tier 2 and Webbo for Tier 1. So make sure you check those out. Thanks all for watching. We will leave you in the capable hands of our sponsors. Thank you to GT Omega, our title sponsor. You can get 5% off all their GT Omega products by clicking the link in the description. Also thanks to Grid Rival, where you can join our F122 Fantasy League. You can predict or who you think is going to be doing well. The next race is Japan, so make sure you get predicting before then. So we'll leave you in the capable hands of our two sponsors and the outro as well. So for myself and Aiden, we will see you same time next week for the finale of Season 31 PlayStation. Goodbye.
This broadcast was brought to you by GT Omega and Grid Rival, proudly supporting PSGL.